In 1901, a team of archaeologists entered a sealed chamber deep inside an Egyptian temple at Dendera. On the walls, they found carvings that were over 3,000 years old, depictions of rituals, symbols, and anatomical diagrams that should not have existed in the ancient world. One image in particular stopped them cold. It was the Eye of Horus, the most sacred symbol in all of Egyptian civilization. But when a neuroanatomist examined the carving decades later, he made a discovery that would change everything. The Eye of Horus was not just a symbol. It was a precise anatomical diagram of a structure inside the human brain, a tiny pine cone-shaped gland buried deep in the center of the skull. The Egyptians called it the eye that sees within. The Hindus called it the Ajna, the sixth chakra, the seat of inner vision. The Greeks called it the gateway between the mortal and the divine. Every advanced civilization on Earth, separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years, all pointed to the same spot inside your head. Modern science has now confirmed that the organ they were describing is real. It is called the pineal gland, and what researchers are beginning to understand about it is far stranger than anything the ancients ever claimed. Ancient Egypt was not just a civilization of pyramids and pharaohs. It was a civilization obsessed with the hidden architecture of the human mind. The Eye of Horus, also known as the Wadjet Eye, was one of the most powerful symbols in Egyptian culture. It appeared on temple walls, burial chambers, amulets, and sacred scrolls. The Egyptians believed it offered protection, healing, and above all, inner sight. For centuries, modern scholars assumed the Eye of Horus was purely symbolic, a religious icon with no deeper meaning. That changed when researchers began comparing the symbol to cross-sectional images of the human brain. The match was extraordinary. The Eye of Horus corresponds almost perfectly to the structures surrounding the pineal gland when viewed in a sagittal cross-section of the brain. The eyebrow of the symbol maps to the corpus callosum, the pupil maps to the thalamus, the teardrop maps to the pituitary gland, and the spiral at the base maps to the medulla oblongata. This was not a coincidence. The Egyptians knew exactly what was inside the human skull, and they encoded that knowledge in their most sacred symbol. But the Eye of Horus was more than a diagram. It was a teaching. The Egyptians believed that every human being possessed an inner eye, a faculty of perception that could see beyond physical reality, beyond time, beyond the illusion of the material world. They called this faculty the Eye of Ra when it was active, and they built entire temple complexes dedicated to its awakening. The initiation rites at the temples of Luxor and Karnak were specifically designed to activate this inner eye. Priests would guide initiates through days of fasting, darkness, chanting, and deep meditation, conditions that modern neuroscience now recognizes as triggers for pineal gland activation. The Egyptians were not worshipping a myth. They were practicing a science that the rest of the world would not rediscover for 3,000 years. If the Eye of Horus were unique to Egypt, we might dismiss it as cultural mythology, but it is not unique to Egypt, not even close. In India, the concept is even more explicit. The Hindu tradition describes 7 chakras, energy centers running along the spine. The 6th chakra, called Ajna, is located precisely at the point between the eyebrows, directly in front of the pineal gland. Ajna literally means command or perceive. It is described as the center of intuition, inner knowledge, and higher consciousness. In Hindu art, it is always depicted as a glowing indigo or violet point of light, the famous third eye, that appears on the foreheads of deities like Shiva. Shiva's third eye, according to ancient texts, could see through illusion, perceive the true nature of reality, and when fully opened, destroy ignorance itself. This was not metaphor. The Hindu tradition developed specific meditation techniques, still practiced today, designed to stimulate this exact point and awaken the inner vision. Buddhism took it further. In the Buddhist tradition, the divine eye, called Divya Chakra, is one of the 6 supernatural powers attainable through deep meditation. The Buddha himself was said to have opened his divine eye during his enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, allowing him to perceive all past lives and the interconnected nature of all existence. In ancient China, the Taoist tradition described the heavenly eye, the gateway to spiritual immortality, located in the center of the forehead. Taoist masters developed elaborate practices involving visualization, breathwork, and energy cultivation specifically to open this center. In ancient Greece, the mystery schools of Eleusis and Delphi practiced initiation rites strikingly similar to the Egyptian temples, involving darkness, fasting, and altered states of consciousness, all aimed at awakening what they called the mind's eye. The Mayan civilization, an ocean away, described a jaguar night vision, an inner faculty that allowed shamans to see in spiritual darkness. Their temple architecture was aligned to create specific conditions of darkness and acoustic resonance, conditions that modern research links to pineal gland stimulation. Civilizations that never communicated with each other, separated by oceans and millennia, all identified the same organ, at the same location, with the same function. The probability of this being coincidence is essentially zero. For most of Western history, the knowledge of the third eye was suppressed. The early Christian church declared the pineal traditions of Egypt and Greece to be pagan heresy. The mystery schools were shut down. The initiation practices were forbidden. For over 1,000 years, the inner eye became a forbidden subject in the Western world. But in 1637, one man dared to rediscover it. René Descartes, the French philosopher, considered the father of modern Western philosophy, became obsessed with the pineal gland. After years of anatomical study, he declared it the principal seat of the soul and the place in which all our thoughts are formed. This was a stunning claim from the most influential thinker in Europe. Descartes argued that the pineal gland was the only structure in the brain that was not duplicated. It existed as a single, central organ, and therefore it must be the point where the non-physical mind interacted with the physical body. He was ridiculed. The scientific establishment of his time dismissed his ideas. The church was suspicious of anything that suggested the soul had a physical location. Descartes' theory was pushed to the margins of philosophy and largely forgotten for 300 years. But Descartes was right about one thing. The pineal gland is unique. It is the only endocrine gland in the brain that is unpaired. It sits at the geometric center of the brain, between the two hemispheres, surrounded by cerebrospinal fluid. And as modern science would eventually discover, it has properties that no one in the 17th century could have imagined. The pineal gland is roughly the size of a grain of rice. It weighs less than 1/10 of a gram. And for most of the 20th century, mainstream science considered it a vestigial organ, a leftover from an earlier stage of evolution with no significant function. That assessment was spectacularly wrong. In the 1950s, researchers discovered that the pineal gland produces melatonin, the hormone that regulates your sleep-wake cycle, your circadian rhythm, and your seasonal biological patterns. Melatonin controls when you feel sleepy, when you wake up, and how deeply you sleep. It is one of the most critical hormones in the human body. But melatonin was only the beginning. In 1991, a researcher named Dr. Rick Strassman at the University of New Mexico began the first legally sanctioned research on DMT, dimethyltryptamine, in over 20 years. DMT is one of the most powerful psychoactive compounds known to science. It is found naturally in hundreds of plant species, in several animal species, and, critically, in the human body itself. Strassman hypothesized that the pineal gland produces DMT, particularly during deep meditation, near-death experiences, birth, and death. His clinical research, administering DMT to 60 human volunteers, produced results that stunned the scientific community. Subjects reported experiences remarkably consistent with the descriptions of inner vision found in ancient texts, encounters with non-physical entities, perception of geometric patterns and sacred geometry, experiences of timelessness, and a profound sense of connection to a greater intelligence. Strassman called DMT the spirit molecule, and his hypothesis that the pineal gland is its primary source has since been supported by research at the University of Michigan, which in 2019 confirmed the presence of DMT in the living mammalian brain. But there is something even more extraordinary about the pineal gland. In 2004, researchers discovered that the human pineal gland contains photoreceptor cells, the same type of cells found in the retina of your eyes. The pineal gland can detect light, not through the eyes, through the skull itself. It responds to light and darkness directly. The ancients called it an eye. Modern science has confirmed that, at a cellular level, it literally is one. Furthermore, the pineal gland has been found to contain piezoelectric calcite microcrystals, crystals that vibrate in response to electromagnetic fields. These crystals are similar in structure to the crystals used in radio receivers. Some researchers have proposed that these crystals may function as a kind of biological antenna, capable of receiving electromagnetic information that the 5 physical senses cannot detect. If this sounds familiar, it should. In video 4 of this series, we explored the third Hermetic law, the law of vibration, which states that everything in the universe is in constant vibrational motion, and that perception is a function of vibrational frequency. The pineal gland, with its piezoelectric crystals and photoreceptor cells, may be the physical mechanism through which this ancient law operates. Here is where the story takes a darker turn. By the time most people reach adulthood, their pineal gland has begun to calcify, to harden and shrink due to calcium deposits that accumulate on its surface. By middle age, the pineal gland of the average person in the industrialized world is significantly calcified, and in many cases, almost entirely hardite. Pineal calcification has been linked to reduced melatonin production, disrupted sleep patterns, increased rates of depression, and accelerated cognitive decline. Autopsies have shown that the pineal glands of modern humans are far more calcified than those of people living just a few hundred years ago. Why? The primary culprit identified by research is fluoride. The pineal gland accumulates more fluoride than any other soft tissue in the human body, concentrations even higher than in bone. Sodium fluoride, which is added to public water supplies in many countries, crosses the blood-brain barrier and deposits directly into the pineal gland, accelerating calcification. A landmark study by Dr. Jennifer Luke at the University of Surrey found that the fluoride concentration in the pineal gland exceeded that of any other organ studied, and that high pineal fluoride was directly correlated with reduced melatonin production and earlier onset of puberty. But fluoride is not the only factor. Processed foods laden with synthetic chemicals, artificial sweeteners, and preservatives contribute to systemic inflammation that affects the pineal gland. Environmental toxins, pesticides, heavy metals, microplastics accumulate in the body and concentrate in the endocrine system. And then there is screen light. The blue light emitted by smartphones, laptops, and LED screens directly suppresses melatonin production by signaling to the pineal gland that it is daytime, even at midnight. The average person now spends over 7 hours per day staring at screens that are actively disrupting their pineal function. Consider what this means. If the ancient civilizations were correct, if the pineal gland truly is a gateway to higher perception and inner vision, then the modern world has created the perfect conditions to shut it down. Fluoridated water, processed food, environmental toxins, and constant screen exposure, a perfect storm of pineal calcification. Whether by accident or by design, the third eye of the modern human is closing. The good news is this: pineal calcification can be slowed, and in some cases, reversed. And the methods for doing so are remarkably consistent with what the ancient traditions prescribed thousands of years ago. Method 1. Darkness practice. The pineal gland activates in darkness. This is not philosophy. This is biochemistry. When light ceases to reach the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the pineal gland ramps up melatonin production and, according to Strassman's research, may begin producing other neurochemicals that facilitate expanded states of consciousness. Ancient traditions knew this. The Egyptian initiation rites involved days spent in total darkness inside sealed temple chambers. Tibetan Buddhist practitioners perform dark retreats, extended periods of complete darkness lasting days or weeks, specifically to activate the pineal gland. The Kogi people of Colombia, whose civilization stretches back thousands of years, raise their future shamans in total darkness for the first 9 years of life. The modern application is simpler. Sleep in complete darkness, no phone, no LEDs, no ambient light. Block all light from your bedroom. Your pineal gland will respond within days. Consider extended periods of darkness meditation. Even 30 minutes in complete darkness with eyes closed can begin to shift your neurochemistry. Method 2. Meditation. If you have been following this series, you already understand why meditation is so powerful. In video 3, we explored how the subconscious mind is programmed and how the theta brainwave state provides direct access to subconscious reprogramming. The pineal gland is most active during theta and delta brainwave states, the very states achieved through deep meditation. Research at the University of Taiwan found that long-term meditators had significantly less pineal calcification than non-meditators of the same age. Research at Harvard found that 8 weeks of regular meditation practice produced measurable changes in brain structure, including in regions directly connected to the pineal gland. The technique is straightforward. Sit in darkness or low light. Close your eyes. Focus your attention gently on the point between your eyebrows, exactly where every ancient tradition tells you the third eye is located. Breathe slowly and deeply. Hold this focus for 20 minutes. This is not mysticism. You are directing blood flow and neural activity to the pineal region. The ancients did not have fMRI machines, but they discovered through practice what neuroscience has now confirmed in the laboratory. Method 3. Breathwork. Specific breathing patterns have been shown to alter brain chemistry in ways that directly affect pineal function. The Wim Hof method, involving controlled hyperventilation followed by breath retention, has been clinically shown to increase DMT-like experiences and produce altered states of consciousness. Yogic pranayama, particularly the technique called nadi shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing, has been practiced for thousands of years, specifically to balance the brain hemispheres and stimulate the point between them, where the pineal gland sits. Method 4. Dietary decalcification. Reduce fluoride exposure. Use a water filter that removes fluoride. Switch to non-fluoride toothpaste. Eliminate or reduce processed foods. Increase consumption of foods rich in chlorophyll, spirulina, chlorella, raw cacao, and dark leafy greens, which have been shown to support detoxification processes. Iodine, found in seaweed, kelp, and iodized salt, has been shown to displace fluoride from the body. Vitamin K2 directs calcium away from soft tissues and into bones where it belongs, directly counteracting the calcification process. Method 5. Sunlight. This may seem paradoxical. The pineal gland activates in darkness, but it also needs sunlight. During the day, natural sunlight entering through the eyes signals the pineal gland to suppress melatonin, creating the essential light-dark cycle that keeps the gland functioning properly. Get direct sunlight exposure within the first hour of waking. Avoid sunglasses during this period. The ancient Egyptians practiced sun gazing at dawn and dusk, moments when sunlight is safe to observe, as a method of pineal stimulation. Modern research has confirmed that early morning light exposure dramatically improves circadian rhythm function and melatonin production at night. 3,000 years ago, the priests of Egypt carved a diagram of the human brain into temple walls and called it the Eye of God. 2,500 years ago, yogis in India described an inner eye that could see beyond the veil of physical reality and called it the gateway to enlightenment. 400 years ago, the greatest philosopher in Europe examined the center of the human brain and called it the seat of the soul. And today, neuroscientists are discovering that this tiny pine-cone-shaped gland contains photoreceptor cells, piezoelectric crystals, and the chemical blueprint for the most powerful psychoactive compound ever studied. Every civilization, every tradition, every century, all pointing to the same place. The question is no longer whether the third eye is real. The question is, what happens when you open it? In our next video, we will explore one of the most fascinating methods ever discovered for unlocking the hidden potential of the mind, a pattern so powerful that Nikola Tesla called it the key to the universe, the 369 method. If you are new to this channel, start from the beginning. Our Series 1 playlist will take you through the complete foundation. If you have been with us from the start, subscribe if you have not already. The journey is just beginning.